They thought they could erase you, box you up, lock the lid, and move on like you were never there. But the second they tried to bury you, they planted something they couldn't kill. Now they're the ones wide awake at 2 a.m., stuck in a loop, replaying your wins in their heads like a song they can't skip. They keep asking the same question, what did you do to them? And the answer burns every time. You lived. You didn't just make it through. You came back louder, brighter, stronger. You turned their storm into your thunder. Every doubt became fuel. They tried to dim your light, and you lit the whole room. Now they're left in the shadows they built for themselves, counting the days since you slipped out of their grip. They wanted your ending. You gave them a beginning they can't stand to watch. They pace the floor, whisper to friends, type messages they never send. They stare into mirrors, searching for the version of themselves that existed before you proved them wrong. But they can't unsee what you showed them. Freedom is possible. Their rules aren't real. The walls were chalk lines all along. They built a cage for you, neat, safe, small, but you walked right through the bars. You didn't ask for permission. You didn't wait for applause. You just moved. And that movement shattered their story, because if you could do it, then they could have too. And that's the wound that never heals. It's not just your success that hurts them. It's the reminder of every chance they didn't take. You became the comet they can't look away from, cutting through their gray sky, leaving a bright scar they can't erase. Every step you take reminds them that their can't was always a choice. They want to hate you, but they can't stop watching. They tried everything: snide comments, fake concern, rumors behind closed doors. They threw stones, hoping you'd disappear into the dust. But you picked up each one and built a road. That's what drives them mad. The way you turned every hit into momentum. You didn't get bitter, you got sharper. You didn't shrink, you grew. You became proof that pain can turn into power, that hate can be smelted into armor. They aimed for your heart. You aimed for your future. They thought your scars would silence you. Instead, your scars started speaking, and they said, I am still here. They call you reckless because you refuse their schedule. Birth, school, work, sleep, repeat. You saw the line and stepped off it. You took risks they were too afraid to try. You stood when it was easier to kneel. You left when it was easier to stay, and that makes them sick with envy. Watch them now. The obsession runs the show. They check your page before they check their own. They watch your stories and pretend they didn't. They screenshot your wins and then toss their phone like it burned them. They tell people you got lucky because the truth, that you worked while they hesitated, is harder to face. They keep a mental list with your name on it. Every post, every win, every smile, every proof that they didn't stop you. They rehearse arguments you'll never hear. Meanwhile, you're living quiet mornings, loud victories, peace that doesn't need an audience. And the more you breathe easily, the tighter their chest gets. Here's the knife they gave you, the insult, the rumor, the betrayal. Here's what you did with it. Carved your path, cut the rope around your ribs, built a backbone where they hoped for a bend. You didn't get their meltdown. You gave them something worse, calm. And calm terrifies them because calm means control. They say you've changed. Yes, you have. You built boundaries where they expected open doors. You say no without guilt and yes without permission. You live in a space where your soul can breathe. Let them talk. Their timeline is stuck. Yours is moving. While they're plotting, you're building. That's why the gap keeps widening. That's why the obsession eats them alive. They thought they were building your prison. They built their own. Bars of envy, locks of lies, guards made of fear. You taught them the worst lesson for a hater, that none of their efforts mattered. You didn't need to fight them. You outgrew them. That's what cuts deepest, not losing, but being left behind. Remember the day you almost broke? The floor felt thin, the air felt heavy, but you took one small step. That was the turning point, not when they doubted you, but when you chose you. You stacked days, you kept promises to yourself, you built habits into a home. Your peace became your address. They'll try to pull you back with old memories, bait you into fights that don't pay, but you've learned attention is a currency. You don't spend it on debt, you spend it on growth. They keep rewriting history because the real version makes them small. In the real version, they threw the first stone. They smiled when you fell, and you got up anyway. You turned their ending into your start. That's the version that keeps them awake. Look at your life now, the work that feels like purpose, the home that feels like safety, the friends who see the real you. None of it was handed to you. You pulled it from the fire when no one was clapping. So when they watch, let them. Every time they speak your name, they admit you matter. Every time they copy your moves, they admit you lead. Every time they try to shut you out, they prove you're already inside their heads, rent-free. The truth? They don't fear you because you're dangerous. They fear you because you're free. And freedom is the scariest thing to someone who traded theirs for comfort. That's why they watch. That's why they seethe. That's why they scroll. Let them feel the weight of their own choices. Your job isn't to shrink so they feel taller. It's to be fully you, to keep moving, keep building, keep making peace that can't be bought. If they want to follow, fine. But you're not slowing down. You're not waiting. By the time they make up their minds, you'll be gone, already living the life they're still afraid to start. They thought they destroyed you. The truth? They destroyed themselves. You were the mirror, the line in the sand. And when the moment came, you stepped over it without flinching. You didn't ask, you moved, and that changed everything. So when they ask again, what did you do to them? Smile. You didn't do anything to them. You did everything for you. That's why they're obsessed. That's why you're free.